Hi everyone, this video is going to be over law of cosines. So by the end of this video, you will be able to use the law of cosines to find a missing side and angle of non-right triangles. So this right here is our law of cosines. Sometimes we just have to plug in numbers into that and we're good. Sometimes we have to use it to solve for a side or an angle. So if we wanted to start with solving for a side, I'm going to show you what that equation would look like. So I'm going to start by writing law of cosines down. So we have c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cosine of angle C. If I wanted to solve for side C, all I would need to do is take the square root of both sides. So that would give me C equals the square root of a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cosine angle C. So just like that. And this is what we will use to solve for missing sides. So if we go ahead and jump to example number 1, this is where we're going to use the law of cosines to help solve for missing sides when we're given two sides and the angle in between. So that is a side angle side. So if we look at example 1, we want to solve for the missing side. Notice we are given enough information. We have side, we have our angle, we have our side. Okay, so that means we can use law of cosines. We want to solve for side C. That is the only side we do not have. So I am going to write down the formula that we just came up with. That would be the C equals the square root of a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cosine of angle C. So what I need to do is I need to be able to label my sides. So opposite of angle A, so here's angle A, is side A. So right here is side A. Then we have opposite of side B is, opposite of angle B is side B. So that would be there. So now we have enough information to plug in and solve. We were given angle C right here. So we have everything we need. So we have C equals the square root of, I have 11 squared minus 8 squared, plus 8 squared. So let me fix that. Minus 2 times A times B. So A was 11, B was 8, times cosine of angle C. Angle C was 37 degrees. And again, we're taking the square root of this whole entire thing. So you need to make sure that everything is underneath that radical. So now we're going to switch to our calculator. Remember, when we're in our calculator, we're going to make sure that we're using degree mode. So, and we're going to type this whole entire thing in. Okay, so I switch over to my calculator. I get me a new document. Again, your top right corner should say DEG. Mine's over here on the left side. We're going to type in the square root of 11 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 11 times 8 times cosine of 37. So make sure that yours looks exactly like mine when you type it in. If you need to pause to make sure, pause the video. When we press enter, we get 6.666. So that means we round it to 6.67. So we're going to write our answer. C equals 6.67. And that is it. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to pause the video and try the one right next to it. If you have any questions on it or you don't get it correct, make sure you ask for help. So hopefully you pause the video And when you solve this one, you should get C equals 12.42. Okay. Again, if you did not get this or you have a question on this, that is when you need to ask for help from your teacher. Okay. Moving on to solving for an angle. So I'm going to go back up to the top real quick, and I'm going to show you what the equation looks like if we're solving for an angle. So I'm going to rewrite the law of cosines down before we solve for anything. So that's the c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cosine angle C. So the first thing we're going to do in one like this is we are going to actually start by subtracting a squared and b squared from both sides. We're trying to get that cosine C by itself. So when we do that, what that does is it gives us the following equation: c squared minus a squared minus b squared is equal to a negative 2ab times cosine C degrees. Okay, the a and the b canceled out. Now, we could not move over that minus 2ab by adding because it's being multiplied by cosine C. So we know opposite of multiplication is division. So to move over that negative 2ab, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2ab. So that gives me c squared minus a squared minus b squared, all divided by a negative 2ab. And that leaves me with a cosine of my angle C. Okay, so the negative 2ab's canceled out. Now, if we want to solve for an angle, that's where we have to use inverse trig. So the next step here is just using inverse trig. So that would tell us that C equals cosine inverse of our fraction that we have. So our fraction that we have is c squared minus a squared minus b squared all over a negative 2ab. And this right here would be the equation that we use if we're solving for an angle. So we're going to use this in example 2. See if I can get this to highlight right. There we go. Okay, so moving on to example number 2. We can use the law of cosines to solve if we're given all three sides, so side, side, side. So in example 2, we're going to solve, it says just for angle C, but for extra practice, we're going to solve for all three angles in this one. So first, we're going to start by solving for angle C. So before I write down the formula, I want to make sure that I label all my sides properly. So here is angle C right here. Opposite of angle C is side C, so that would be 8. Here's angle A right here. Opposite of angle A is side A, which is 9. And here's angle B right here. Opposite of angle B is side B, so I'm going to label that. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to focus on solving for one angle at a time. We're going to start by solving for angle C. So we have the formula. C is equal to cosine inverse of c squared minus a squared minus b squared all over a negative 2ab. I'm going to plug in my information that we have. So that would be C is equal to cosine inverse of, and we're going to plug in what we know. So we know C is 8, so 8 squared minus A squared, so that would be minus 9 squared, minus B squared, which we know is 5 squared, all over a negative 2 times A times B. So again, A was 9, B was 5. So it should look like that. So we're going to go ahead and type this part right here into our calculator. So I'm going to switch over to a calculator. If you need to pause the video, you can pause the video to make sure you type it in correctly. So I'm going to use cosine inverse. I'm going to use my fraction button. On top, I'm going to have 8 squared minus 9 squared minus 5 squared all over a negative 2 times 9 times 5. So it should look like this when you type it in. When you press enter, you get 62.1819. So it's just going to be 62.18. And it's an angle, so I'm going to give it the little degree symbol. Now, what we're going to do for some extra practice is we're going to solve for angle A. So angle A is going to use the same formula, but anywhere there was a C, I'm going to change it to an A, and anywhere there was an A, I'm going to change it to a C. So I have A degrees is equal to cosine inverse of, we have our fraction, A squared minus C squared minus B squared, all over a negative 2CB. So notice how the A and the C switched spots. And so now I plug in my values. So I have cosine inverse of our fraction. So we have 9 squared minus 8 squared minus 5 squared all over a negative 2CB. So C again is 8, B is 5. And we're going to type that directly into the calculator exactly as we see it. Okay, and that's going to give us angle A. So I'm switching over to my calculator. I have cosine inverse of my fraction. I have 9 squared minus 8 squared minus 5 squared all over a negative 2 times 8 times 5. You press enter, you get 84.26. 84.26. Okay, and that is the angle that we currently have for A. So now that I know A and C, if I want to solve for angle B, all I have to do is take 180 and subtract the sum of the two angles that I just got. So 62.18 and 84.26. So I'm going to go ahead and type that into my calculator. So we get 180 minus the sum of 62.18 and 84.26. I press enter, I get 33.56. 33.56. So my angle B is equal to 33.56 degrees. Okay, so I showed you how to solve for all three angles. All I want you to do in this next one is just solve for angle C. Okay, I will give you a little hint. It does not matter which side you label as A and B, as long as the angle and sides correspond and you put them in the correct spot is cool. Okay, so hopefully you gave this a try. If you did, you should get angle C is equal to 36.34 degrees. If you were not able to get this, then you need to make sure that you ask for help and you double check how you typed it in the calculator. If you did get this, give yourself a pat on the back. that's all I have for this video. Again, if you have questions, please make sure you ask, and I'll see you in the next video.